people. I'm going to be talking today about why I would never feed my family intensively farmed supermarket chicken. And we're going to be chatting to a chicken farmer who I happened to meet yesterday, who are doing it in a way that is great for the animal, great for our health, and great for the environment too. So it's Nick Ball from Fosse Meadows, and I just love talking directly to food and farm producers. As you know, I'm just so passionate about getting people eating real food, and I think increasingly so with the problems with farming and the impact on the environment. We need to move away from intensive farming and start supporting farmers who are farming in harmony with nature, growing their animals more slowly as they're intended, feeding them their natural diet, and raising them then in their natural environment. And that has an impact on the environmental outcomes, as well as the nutrient density of our food, as well as the flavour. And here in the UK we have some amazing farmers that we can get behind, and we can start bypassing these intensive products and connect directly with our farmers and feed our bodies and feed our families well. So I'm just waiting for Nick to join us. If you have any questions along the way, I've got a few people joining us already, do put your questions in. Some of my concerns around eating intensively farmed chicken from a medic is the use of antibiotics that are used in their feed, and the impact that that's having on our guts and our gut microbiome, and on our health. So I need Nick to request to join us. I can see he's joined us there. Oh, well, he's not joined yet. So we got to go and visit their farm yesterday. It's in Leicestershire. And I don't know how much you already know. I was really shocked really when I started this journey of looking about how food was produced, how chickens have been raised. I have been in an intensive chicken shed many years ago, but it just didn't click back then. But certainly in the UK we eat a massive amount of chicken, the majority of it intensively farmed. And chickens, sort of 30 years ago would have taken up to sort of 80 days to mature, but now in our present systems they can be grown in 28 days. And that's partly because of what we're feeding them, how we're raising them, but also what we're putting in their food. So they have antibiotics, not only because the lack of their own immunity and the risk of disease, but that promotes growth in these animals. And then slaughtering at 28 days to have these big fat supermarket chickens that we see. And often these chickens, they don't see the light of day. There we go, here he is. They don't see the light of day. They're produced in massive sheds, 20, 30,000 chickens in a shed. Hello, Nick. I've been rabbiting on what I know about chickens, but you are the expert, so I'm so glad you've come on.
No, thank you very much for inviting me.
And you're on the farm where I was yesterday with some beautiful chickens behind you. How exciting. It was a joy to join you yesterday and to be able to see for myself just another amazing farmer who is doing it in a way that works with nature, honours the animal, and produces some amazing flavoured food. So thank you, Nick. I was just starting to unpack how chickens are raised intensively over the last 30 years, but maybe you want to tell the story from your perspective, and then I'd just love you to tell these guys that are listening in how you're doing it and how they can connect with you.
Okay, so intensive, basically chickens have unfortunately become the easiest animal, it seems, to be industrially produced. And so in the UK, I think there's like 1 billion chickens eaten. Everyone's Nando's, takeaways. Every sort of supermarket takeaway that you get or ready meal is a chicken. Every sandwich is a chicken. So we get through a lot of chicken. And so the chicken has basically been has essentially been created to produce as much protein as possible, as fast as possible, to meet our demands on wanting chicken. Whether you call what you eat now at the supermarket a chicken, I'm not sure. I mean, 30 years ago, you were saying like the evolution of the chicken. I mean, basically, we're probably producing a chicken similar to a broiler was 30 or 40 years ago, when it was basically first introduced as a farming animal, and not just a backyard chicken. I mean, our aim is to produce an incredible backyard chicken, but so what we produce is a bird with long legs. I don't know if you can see. So basically long legs, sort of not a massive breast. So everybody loves chicken breast, but we kind of like to keep our chickens in proportion. So we produce them with sort of good long legs, strong meaty legs, delicious red, dark meat and strong bones, and not such an enormous breast that they can't stand up. Intensive production is essentially in sort of 30 to 35 days. They're up to probably around 2.5 kilos, 3 kilos. And to do that, they essentially have bred the animal so that it has small legs, produces a lot of breast meat. It's in sheds of 40,000. I think that's Red Tractor standard. So if you're not buying Red Tractor, which in all your takeaways, you don't know what you're buying. But Red Tractor standard is 40,000 birds to a shed. And a lot of farms doing that will be producing hundreds of thousands of chickens. And they all go to big processors. And I mean, interestingly, we cooked up a broiler chicken from a supermarket. We don't often have them, but we did buy one because we were doing a test with a chef, and it was interesting. We couldn't believe how much water came out of the chicken, and I don't think that's from, you know, everybody goes on about them pumping water into the chicken. On a whole bird, I think it's just the birds are so young that their cell structure's just not there. So when you apply heat and cook it, it just disintegrates, and it shrank in size. It was half the size, and we had the same size chicken of ours, and it basically didn't change shape. It didn't lose size. That it basically looked pretty similar to what it did when it went in the oven. And that's because we just grow them longer, and their muscles get used, and they run around, and they age. So,
I was really surprised yesterday, Nick, when so we were really lucky. We saw your chickens when they were little chicks, and then you took us to the sheds when, you know, they were sort of 30 days old, and at that point would be the point when in an intensively farmed system, the point when they would be slaughtered and ready for the supermarket. I was there with my daughter, and we couldn't believe how small they were at that age when they are bred more naturally and fed more naturally, and I think it was just mind-boggling to think about, well, what do we do to those chickens in those 30 days to get them to that size? It was a real moment for me seeing that. Just talk to me as well. Your chickens have access to outside. Why is that important in the life of a chicken? Why are you not just having them in sheds?
I mean, naturally, a chicken's outside, so they they like going outside. They peck around. It's good for their interest. They eat the grass. They eat the clover. They find insects. They chase them. They're an inquisitive animal, and they're an animal basically. So they want interest in their everyday going about doing things. So So it's super important that they go out, and as they get older, they go further, they roam around more. You start, basically start seeing character, and they kick around outside. They just peck around and do what chickens do, which is what they should be doing, and not really in a great big barn with hundreds of thousands of other ones.
And tell me a little bit about, again, people often don't realise just how stressful and how far chickens often, or all animals, have to travel to get to the abattoir, but you've actually got processing sites just newly opened on site. So tell me a little bit about that and why you've chosen to do
that. So we've done that because chicken's so industrial. I mean, we had to travel quite a long way to go to an abattoir for a small amount of chickens.
What do you mean by small amount? We talked about this yesterday, didn't we? Help us understand.
Yeah, so we produce 2,000 birds a week, which sounds a lot to everyone, but in the context of chicken, I mean, we've got slaughterhouses all around us. We have Fessenda and Moy Park and Two Sisters. We're in the middle. They are all around us, but they produce, I think, 15,000 an hour. Or is it? No, so they have 3 lines running at 15,000 an hour. They're doing about 45,000 birds in 1 hour. And that's just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous numbers. So we wanted to be able to slaughter on farm, reduce the stress of travel, produce a better product, and basically do the best job we could and give the best quality we can. So we decided we'd do the abattoir here, and we just started, and it's a big learning curve, but it seems to be going well. So I'm pleased.
And I think so one of the things often when I'm talking to all you amazing farmers who are doing this differently and stepping out and doing growing animals with respect to how they should be grown, feed is a big thing. And so just tell me, you've decided to have a go with soy free. Tell me about why we use soy in chicken and why you've made a decision not to use soy.
So soy, so that's a big thing. That's a trial thing that we've done this year, amongst other things. So the soy is soy for chickens is pretty much all grown in Brazil. Brazil has its own complications. It's got a beautiful, great big rainforest there, and pressures of global agriculture and sort of people wanting soy has got to be a pressure on the Amazon and that ecosystem. So we decided the safest way to know that we weren't having any impact on there was to remove it entirely from our diet. The implications of that is soy is an incredibly good source of protein for poultry, and which is why it's so heavily used. So the implications are that your birds won't grow as fast. So we felt that it was something we could do because we grow our birds to 81 days, which is unlike pretty much everybody else. And we felt that whilst at the early stages of their growth, they would be not as big, they would be able to catch up over the period of time. So that's what we've done. It's been successful over summer, and we're hoping that it'll be successful through winter as well. So we'll see. We'll keep posted.
And then, I mean, when I went on this journey and I discovered how we were producing chicken, and I haven't fed it to my kids for years, and because I didn't want to expose them to the antibiotic use that's used routinely in intensive farm chicken. I was horrified at what we were doing to the animal, but more recently I bought a very slow-grown chicken, 84 days. That has access to its own environment, and so we had it as a roast, and all of us were like, "Oh my goodness, we have never tasted chicken before. Like, this is something else." And I think it helped us, you know, honour just how amazing it is in terms of flavour. And I think, you know, people often say, oh, it's so expensive. But for me, understanding that actually that chicken is a roast, the next day it's stripped off as a curry, and the next day it's boiled up, you know, to make a soup, just all helps in terms of understanding how you can use that whole bird and really respect, you know, it. Oh, I've lost you for a bit. Oh, I've lost his signal. I'm sure he'll be back to us in a minute. But so while, you know, chickens raised like this a lot slower, their right environment, you know, fed the right stuff, you know, has an impact on the nutrient density. It's better for the animal, it's better for flavour. You know, it does have more of a cost, but we always have to ask, what is the true cost anyway to our food? Are you back? Wonderful.
So, yes, I missed that a little bit. My Wi-Fi was playing up. I've moved in a bit closer so that I can, so it's working a bit better. So no more chickens, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So just tell people how they can access your products and what else you're growing on your farm.
So, I mean, basically, we sell online. We sell at Good Butchers, and we sell at various online stores like Farm Drop and things like that. And you know, essentially, on the farm, we produce alongside so we do our chickens 81 days. They're grown longer than everyone else, but then we do.
I've lost him again. I don't want to jump in, but I also got to see his turkeys and his ducks and his cockerels, which were amazing. Again, all outdoor reared, all slow grown, all slaughtered on site and processed on site. I mean, it really was exciting to go there and see this done so well. So it looks like I've lost them, but you can follow them here on Instagram, and through their links you'll be able to get on their website and buy directly from them. I do really encourage you, wherever possible, to buy directly from your farmer. Like, our supply chains are just so fragile, and we need to move away from just depending on our supermarkets. You know, 80% of our food comes through 8 major supermarkets. And we here in the UK have amazing producers, amazing farmers who are either selling at your farm market or selling online. It's a bit inconvenient initially getting away from the supermarkets, but once you identify these amazing growers, many of them deliver to your door. And certainly, you know, I've got 3 beautiful girls, and I prefer to eat less meat, but really good quality meat. And buy directly from my farmers, and not just meat, it's grain, it's our vegetables, you know, it's with everything. It's being intensively farmed, and we need to move away from this for our environment, for the biodiversity, you know, of nature, for our own health, for the nutrient density of the foods as well as the flavour. We need to move closer to our farm gate, and we need to start getting back to real food. And I understand some of the expense of that, but there's amazing schemes around the country. You know, I've talked to people growing vegetables with community supported agriculture and getting local veg boxes. I've yet to talk to grain people yet. I visited quite a few farms, but would love to set up an interview for you so you can ask your questions. And I've interviewed many farmers growing chickens and beef and turkey, where you can access their products directly. And next week, I think I'm talking to Grazers of Ashby. I've been and visited them some months ago, but we're going to be looking at how they're rearing their beef. And then also in weeks to come, we will be talking to some people who are producing amazing grain in this country too. So wherever you're at in that process of how you're feeding yourself and your family, start by real food. You know, start picking up what's in the supermarket, looking where it's from, and choosing something that's local to your area. If you can get out of the supermarket, looking for farmers markets. if you're in farmers markets or you're in farm shops, asking how these foods are produced, where it's from. If they can't answer the question, don't buy it. Don't buy from a butcher who doesn't know where his food's from. And where you can, start connecting directly with farmers themselves. So nobody's had any questions today, but thanks for joining me. You can always contact me on my Instagram direct message. And I'll see you next week, where we'll be. I've just seen grazers have just joined us. Hello, you're going to be talking to us next week and hearing about all their journey of how they're producing their food. And we really need to get behind our British farmers, and we really need to take control, you know, of our health and our nutrition and where our food's coming from. You know, the health of our planet and the health of our families depends on it. So let's vote with every mouthful and support our farmers that are producing in harmony with nature some amazing produce. So that's it for today. Thanks, Nick. You didn't join me again, but it was real joy to see them and see their venture. Actually, just a little bit, you'll see on their website, you know, Nick, his father was a farmer, but he'd gone off to London and fashion design, and his partner, a property developer, and they've gone back into farming. And so it was just a joy to be with them yesterday. Thanks, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.